you talk about analytics today. Davey was a computer, and he knew that inside of himself. I got a team that's not probably going to lose more than 50 games at this point. And once we got going after that, he was clearly right. We did not lose a lot of ball games. We came back in a lot of ball games. We had a team of just pride. We had a team that you didn't want to mess with because we were the bad boys. We would fight, we would do everything else, and we would drink, and we would tell teams when we were coming in town, we're coming in town to destroy you. We didn't play around. We made it clear to those teams that knew that we were coming in town. We are the Mets. We are going to destroy you. We are not playing. And that was the really good thing about what Davey gave to all of us.
Jay Horowitz, ladies and gentlemen, amazing conversation with my good friend, old buddy, and dear friend, and one of my best friends in baseball, Darryl Strawberry. Straw, you've been on the big stage a lot, game-winning home runs, World Series, All-Star games. Tell me, how difficult was it for you last weekend to speak at our buddy Davey Johnson's funeral?
Well, thanks for having me, Jay. It definitely was the most difficult time that I've ever experienced. When you look at somebody's life and you look at their legacy, uh, everything just comes back. And I think what happens a lot of times with people, we don't know how long people are going to be here. And I think we must never forget about the people that has helped you. And Davy Johnson helped so many of us. The start of our careers, me being in AAA with him, and him calling me into the office, and when I was in Tidewater in '83 and I wasn't in the lineup, and he says, you know, you're not playing today. I says, well, why am I not playing today, Davey? And he goes, come to my office. And he goes, you're going to the big leagues. And I go, oh, like I wasn't ready. And he goes, no, don't do that. You're ready. And he said, hopefully one day I'll see you there. And next year he was there in 1984. So uh, I kind of was just reflecting back on what he had done for the entire Mets organization. I mean, he knew all the players that came along through the organizations, Kevin Mitchell, Doc Gooden. He had so many players that came through that farm system that he had an idea about. And for him to get to the place of putting them in the big leagues and being the manager in the big leagues for us in 1984, he would take us from being the Mets to the New York Mets. From our last place team of '83 to '84, we in contention and almost winning and beating the Chicago Cubs that year, and then almost beating the Cardinals the next year in 1985. So he wasn't just a manager, he was a friend, he was a leader. Davey was analytics before analytics was even showed up.
No, no question. So, Straw, from '73, the Mets win the World Series. They lost to Oakland 7 games. And from '73 to '83, it was a dark period. For me to turn around with the Mets started May 5th, '83. Darryl Strawberry record from the minor leagues. June that year, we trade for Keith Hernandez, and probably one of the biggest moves during the World Series of '83. The Mets announced that we've hired Davey Johnson as the manager. Uh, at the press conference with Frank Casher, Davey turns to Frank and says, What took you so long to name me? I've been ready a long time." And fast forward from the '84 to '90, under Davey's reign, the most successful period in Mets history. Averaging 90 plus wins. The wild card was there. We've been a wild card every year. Reflect upon that period, Straw.
Yeah, that was a good moment when Frank announced Davey Johnson was going to be the manager, and I love the real arrogance and cockiness of Davey, which was good because he gave that to us. And sometimes you have to have that in your manager. I know it's a different time now, but back in those days, you needed that. You needed someone to come in here, a last place ball club, franchises like under the ground. Nobody's talking about it since Seaver and all those guys won. Um, and here it is. They had this a window of time of losing. And here it is. Davey comes in '84 immediately. He takes us into a different direction. Yeah, I mean, just so fast, into a different direction. And what was so good about Davey is He knew how to put players in position to have success. He didn't put you in there for you to run through a weakness. He put you in there so you would succeed and have success. And I think that's what a lot of people didn't give him a lot of credit for. A lot of people in baseball didn't give him a lot of credit for that. And, his time with us from minor leagues to the major leagues was phenomenal. To be able to take a generation of players and lead them and guide them and make them winners. But what people don't realize that was so good about Davey, he was winning in the minor leagues in Triple A for us, Jay. So he had already had the ability to get the best out of players. It was just a matter of time getting to the big leagues for him. A guy that played in the big leagues, a guy that won two pennants, a guy that was an all-star, a guy that was a Golden Glove player. I think people underestimate how good and how much knowledge Davey had to be able to turn a franchise around so quickly. And when I say quickly, it's because 84 was 1 year, 85 was the next year. And not only that, Jay, but Davey had to deal with personalities on our
Never.
ball
You think we had a
clubs.
lot of personalities on our team, Straw?
We had a lot of personalities, man.
Yeah.
We had
Yeah.
we had a lot of guys that had a lot to say, and a lot of guys that chirped a lot. But Davey handled that well. And what I mean by that, he was a he was a player's manager. Okay. He just say, be here on time, ready to play and play hard. If you're not, you're late, you're gonna get fined. I got fined a couple times. We had our run-ins, but it wasn't no love lost between. Davey was disciplined, and that's what I love about him. He gave you himself. He did not give you to the press. He did not throw you out under the bus to the press. If you had something with him. It was you and him. He'll make a fine to you, and then he'll tell you afterwards, after you take your money, is I love you. And that was great. That's the great kind of man he was. He was different. He was outside the box, and he was totally different.
Let's go to '86. I remember. I'm sure you remember this well. We were in spring training in say in St. Petersburg. We had won 98 games the year before, didn't make the playoff. And Davy's speech to the team said, "Guys, not only are we going to win this freaking thing, we're going to dominate the league." To wind up going 108-54, and we dominated the league.
Yeah, we come to spring training after losing to the Cardinals in '85. That was a bitter taste after that year. That last game in St. Louis in our locker room, I sensed something was different about our team because everybody was quiet. Nobody had any kind of thrill like we had a great year because we had missed it 2 years in a row. We let the Cubs beat us in '84, and then the Cardinals come back and beat us. So we get to spring training, and our first meeting, Davey didn't mess around. He said, I don't have a whole lot to say, but he said, we're going to win it all. And he said, we're not just going to win it all, we're going to dominate this year.
And most
And
managers don't do that, Darryl. They're afraid to speak the truth. They'll hem and haw. Oh, we'll battle them. I think we'll do well, maybe. But he said, screw it. Let's lay it all on the table.
he laid it all out and he put it out on the table for us. And you know what, Jay? That probably was the greatest thing that a manager could ever do is put it out on the table for your team because you know what that means? That means he's challenging us to be the best and bring out the best in what we have. The ability, the skill set that we have. We have it all. We have the pitchers, we have the players, we have the defense, we have the offense. And he just made us realize and understand that. Because we think about it, we went 2-3 at the beginning of the season, and the
I was
press was like,
welcome home dinner. And he said,
yeah.
we're not going to lose maybe 50 games the rest of the year. So I think we lost 51 games the rest of the year.
And look at that. Look how right he was. It was like I said, you talk about analytics today. Davey was a computer, and he knew that inside of himself. I got a team that's not probably going to lose more than 50 games at this point. And once we got going after that, he was clearly right. We did not lose a lot of ball games. We came back in a lot of ball games. We had a team of just pride. We had a team that you didn't want to mess with because we were the bad boys. We would fight, we would do everything else, and we would drink, and we would tell teams when we were coming in town, we're coming in town to destroy you. We didn't play around. We made it clear to those teams that knew that we were coming in town. We are the Mets. We are going to destroy you. We are not playing. And
It's,
that was the really good thing about what Davey gave to all of us.
one of my favorite games, Darryl. In July of that year, we played in Cincinnati. So our good friend and your best buddy Eric Davis is at third base. Ray Knight slides into him. They get up to have a fight, and I think the whole team was thrown out of the game. Basically, we wind up playing Gary Carter at third base. Gary Carter at third base, and we rotate Jesse Orosco and Roger McDowell in the outfield pitching. He said he wasn't afraid. He's played two relief pitchers in the outfield. I think Roger wound up catching the last out of the game.
We had a team full of everything. We had a team full of characters. We had a team full of personalities. But we had a team full of guys that had a lot of guts and had big kahunas that could do everything. And that was what was so special about being on the 86 Mets. You're never going to see a team like that. You had too many guys that knew how to do great things. Gary knew how to play any position. Putting Jesse and Roger in the outfield, no big to them because they used to be an outfield shagger. So it was like they would be running down balls in BP. So it was just like for them, it was a thrill for them to be able to play in a game like that and be able to do that. So it was very special, very unique ball club. Uh, the personalities is what was made us so well
Yeah,
because like I said before, we was going to step up and we are going to do just about anything against anybody. And I know the big fight we had with the Reds with Eric and Eric was my best friend and still is. But with Ray Knight, my teammate Ray Knight was fire.
yeah, yeah. People don't understand about Davey too. He really needed a job. He's a very wealthy guy. Graduated Texas A&M, big in the real estate business, an accomplished pilot. So he really didn't have to do this. He had other stuff going on in his life, but he felt this was his calling, and he brought a lot to the table, right, Daryl?
He was a scratch golfer. I mean, he did so many things. Like you said, big time real estate. His portfolio is probably bigger than ever right now. Susan is probably tremendous blessed because of what he left her with, because he was a generous man and he didn't care about all that stuff. And yes, he did not have to do that job, but I think he wanted to take on that job because of the players that were there. He was the only one that could make the players of those years great. Nobody else could have probably got out of those players what Davey had gotten out of all of us. Because, like I said, he had so many of us in the minor leagues. He already knew us personally. But at the same time, with the veteran players that came over, Keith, Gary, Ray Knight, he knew how to put them in leadership role, and he knew how to handle his younger players. And I think that was the biggest difference in us being a very successful team like we were and winning 90 ball games a year because every year we came to spring training, we knew he was in it. It was the Mets. We had an opportunity. It wasn't hype about us. People could say what they want to say. We lost the division by 1 or 2 games at the most every year that he was you know the manager. 1988 was a heartbreaking year. We had a better team talent wise in that 88 than we had in 86. But you know the difference between the 88 team and the 86 team? The 88 team didn't have the hearts and the guts like the 86 team. You had to have a different personality, a different swagger about yourself like the 86 team. Not taking anything away from our 88 Mets.
Yeah, we missed Kevin Mitchell a lot in '88. He was part of this thing. Let me reflect again. So, and go back to '86. We beat Houston in a great Game 6 game in Houston. We fly back. We got a little rowdy on the planes. A little rowdy on the plane coming
A
back.
little rowdy, I think a
Yeah,
lot. What do you
a
mean a
lot
little
rowdy.
bit?
We were fined 10 grand we're supposed to pay. And remember the meeting, Davey ripped up the check or something. He said, we're not going to pay this check. I forget the logistics of it, but he said, screw it. These guys deserve the let loose, and we're not paying any money.
Yeah, I mean that was really cool about the fact of how he did that and how he handled that with the front office people. Because the front office was real tight and timid, and Davey was loose as ever. He's like, these guys are good. These guys are my boys. They're gonna be. right there in the middle of it after this series, and we're going to go into the series, and they're going to play. They're going to find a way to win, and then that's what's the good part of who he was. He was a player's manager. He didn't sit around and say, well, "Okay, well, guys, we won the National League Championship series. Okay, let's get on this plane. Let's drink. Let's all of us drink milk." It wasn't happening.
Yeah.
He let us be, and,
There was
and
no milk on
it
that plate, Straw.
it
Yeah.
Jay, you know how it was. It was a team of Animal House, like the movie they play, Animal
Yeah.
House. That's what the team was like, and
But
we knew like let's go get them,
yeah.
and that's the kind of personality that we had to be able to display out there in those years,
So
'86 and '88,
what
and
is
all
things
those
that
years.
one of the things to remember too. So we open up at home, we lose two games to the Red Sox. Probably had a little bit of over, like a coming down from the great usage series. So we fly to Boston. I get a memo from the league. We have to have your whole team at a workout when you land the next day. It's mandatory. I go to Davey. Davey says, screw the mandatory workout. I want to give my guys a blow. So I think he said the pitcher and one of the players. And Davey felt the guys needed a rest, and he was going to take the chance of getting the wrath of the league. He said, listen, I got to do what's best for my team, and this is what we're going to do. So we wound up winning the World Series.
Well, see, that's how smart he was. Unless that's the credit nobody gives him. I think he took every franchise from nowhere to somewhere, and he knew how to do that. And of course, we went into Boston, and we're supposed to be there for a mandatory workout. And he goes, "We're not going for a workout. Let them find us and let them do whatever they want, but we won't be there." And that was like probably the smartest move that he did for us because we was exhausted and we were burnt out and we just needed a break from a minute from baseball. And then we came back the next couple nights in Houston, in Boston, and bless his heart, Gary Carter carried us. See, people don't understand. He came and he got the biggest hits that we needed in that series in Boston, and it took us to the next place. It took us to the team of the '86 Mets coming back, knowing how to win, and it just lit a fire underneath us. And we knew we were in it. We knew we were going to have to play. We knew Boston wasn't going to lay down. We knew it was going to be wasn't going to be easy, and it was going to be a challenge, and we fought. And that series, we walked out of there, and we walked out of there at a 2-2 tie. And it was perfect, because we knew we were back in the series. Now all we had to do is take care of business once we got back home.
Darryl, how long did it take you to work on that speech that you gave? And I was remember you were glinted. You didn't really have notes. You don't speak from notes, right? I mean, you speak from your head and from your heart. I mean, I know you were, but how long did it take to put that speech together that you gave at the funeral?
It didn't take long. I speak from within. I just did a little homework on Davey and I highlighted his career. Highlighted him as a manager. I highlighted the fact that he wasn't just a good man; he was a great man. And I highlighted the fact that everything that I had to experience with him, and all the lessons that I learned from him. I think Davey gave a lot of players a lot of lessons to learn. I don't know if a lot of players. Uh, credit him for what he had did for them. It was a great celebration. Susan, his wife, did phenomenal.
Yeah.
The other players, Dave Magadan and Ralphie and Terry Leach and Sammy Palazzo was there, me, Chasky, and Ron Goldstein, all of my friends and his friends. We were there. We celebrated. I said this is not going to be a sad moment for me. Darryl Strawberry is not about to cry. I am about to give you speak about a man that we're going to celebrate. We're going to celebrate him because he was a gift to us. And I think a lot of times players, when they look at their life and after their career over, they don't realize the gift that we were given in that time that we had a chance to be great.
So I would talk about your schedule for a second. You're flying all over the country doing ministry work, but yet you find time. You're in New York today as we speak to be at a function for one of your teammates, Lee Mazzilli, who is helping raise money for cancer to name his brother who died. So you find your time to come here to honor Lee Mazzilli. Wasn't a teammate all that long? If I remember correctly. How do you find the time to do this, Straw?
I'm here, to go and receive the award and talk about cancer. And the reason I'm talking about cancer is because I lost my mother at 55. I lost my sister Regina at 51, and I've had cancer twice. So I do stand for that. I do represent the fact that cancer is important and that I should be able to go and receive the award and convey a message to the people how important it is of the work that we do for cancer, because a lot of families in this world have lost people to cancer.
Yeah, like our dear friend Mel Stott of my pants is away from a cancerous disease too. But hey, Jerry, you've been a good friend, for a long time. Continue to be friends, and appreciate all that you do for people and your ministry and the kids around the country. And keep doing what you're doing, man.
Well, thank you, Jay, and thank you for always being a friend. Thank you for being true to the New York Mets and the history of the Mets. You've been there a long time, and you're one of a kind. Nobody can really replace
Well,
you.
well, I
The things that you have done for the players over the years over the years has been phenomenal. I mean, just to
well,
bring us back into you know
it's, it's
the
a
organization has been
labor of
incredible.
love, Daryl. I think it's important not to forget the past and to keep connected with the past and to keep it going. Because I think, like we had this alumni game over the weekend, you were there, and I think the fans appreciate you coming back and all the guys coming back. And next year we'll live and be well. It's gonna be the 40th anniversary of our '86 team, and we'll do it again.
All right, sounds great. Looking forward,
Thanks,
Jay.
thanks,
Thanks.
Doc. Good luck with the wedding, my friend. Huh?